A fracture will be here. This is not safe. A fracture. I want a fracture.
Oh, I think we're live.
That's a horrible roll.
I think we're live. Woof.
Yeah, no matter what I do, it's bad. Okay, so I got it. I know we got this one.
Oh, wait, yeah. Oh, wow. Congratulations, you're going to capture. That's so bad. Okay, so let's like defense side. One little minor. I rolled a one, but I did roll a fracture. So let's see what we got. Fracture, blocky terrain.
One month, this one.
Active on.
Hey, everybody. This is Jason. Finally getting live here. Hope everything is going well. Let's take a look at the campaign. I actually have not looked at it in a while. $246,000. Who in their right mind would have ever guessed? You're gonna be on camera. I'm filming right here. Okay. Final fundraising predictions. Okay, let's talk about that. How many hours do we have left to go at this point? 7 hours. 7 hours is still a long time. Boy, you guys are going to get really tired of hearing me talk. 7 hours left. Okay. 260. 260 is what you think? That's probably not a bad guess. I think it's still probably a little high. But then again, I've also been the one saying we were going to barely get over the finish line. So don't take my word for it. I don't know anything. The sea otter. I think you said you're ready to be somewhere on the game board, right? Dave, what's happening? Everybody here in the chat, Dave is a great friend of mine. Dave, I have known him for, 15 years, maybe 20 years, probably 20 years. Oh my God, possibly 25 years. David Green is wonderful. He does not live 24 years. He does not live local anymore, but we still hang out anytime he comes around. Dave has helped me with many, many parts of Cysmic over the years. He was kind of my sounding board for sure. He deserves a round of applause. One thing, by the way, that David is responsible for, I had a real problem. I'll start telling some stories if anybody's interested. I had a real problem probably about 2019, 2020, somewhere around there. I could not figure out what to do for the bases. Originally, Cysmic actually had a static base. And Dave and I sat around and we talked for the longest time, and Dave was like, well, why can't you just have a moving base? And I was like, a moving base? That's crazy. I could never, that it could fall into the abyss. All kinds of things could happen. But, he was like, so let's work around it. And I'm like, ugh, I don't know. I don't really want to do that. I don't want to change things like that. It's such a massive change. But, that was when Cysmic was still, it was evolving all the time. So it was, yes, exactly. And Dave and I talked, we both love RTS games. And he said, just like Command and Conquer, you can pick up your you can pick up your base and actually like pack it up like some kind of just pack up like your stuff in a box. And it was just so crazy. So he and I kind of chatted and talked about it for a long time. And we basically got it all figured out to where that is now the colony ship is your base. And it really did change a lot about the game. It brought ahead the idea of the colony ship not just being this figure kind of sitting off to the side of the board. Now it was truly a unit. And it was a unit before, but it wasn't a unit in the original sense way back. You only added the colony ship to the board when you were finally completed with it. And then you would go and at the originally, again, in the beginning of the game, there was a launch pad, one launch pad that you had to bring your the crazy thing is we had one launch pad in the middle of the game board, which now is Colony City, and you had to get your ship to the launch pad and launch it from there. And that was the only time you actually added your ship to the game as a unit, and you would have to move from your original base and then move straight into the middle. And it took a very long time to get your ship to the middle because it only moved one space. But yeah, Dave, man, it's awesome. Shanna, we got the button. Can you believe it? Oh my gosh. I had no idea if we were ever going to get the button, but holy cow, it's hard to believe this is where we are. Sea Otter, what's your top 10 games that you have behind you? Oof. I have many games in here. Do you guys want to see this room? My room is a train wreck, but here, I'm going to pick up the camera. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I'm going to pick up the camera and swing the camera around this room, and I'll show you all the games in here. Then we'll go over and talk about all the games. Okay, so here we go. So the games start down there, and then they go down all the way to here. And then we're going to go over here. And look, I'm on the TV. This is a massive stack of Kickstarters that have yet to even be played almost at all. We've been playing Black Rose Wars. Here are all the other games on the other side of the room. So absolutely crazy. And look, there's Cysmic. There's Cysmic setup. Woo! So this is my board game room. And we spend many hours in here. And I have way too many games. So that is the board game room. But let's talk about top 10 games. Woof, man. Wow, that is tough. There's only, I don't know, like 12 games in here. So I guess you could say almost all of them are, top 10. But let's say top 10 games. I will tell you, I recognize that there's problems with it, but I'm going to tell you, Eclipse is one of my favorite games of all time. I just absolutely love Eclipse. And, there's certainly issues with Eclipse, and it's kind of gotten a little worse over the years, but the whole game is really just amazing. Let me leave my Discord channel. Sorry, we are everybody's chatting, but I'm gonna actually mute my Discord right now, and I'll come back. Yeah, we're going to disconnect for the moment. Okay, sorry. The thing is, top 10 games. Eclipse is one of my favorite games of all time. It was one of the first, what I would call big box games that I ever bought. and it was really defining like what I wanted out of a board game. Like it was a really large, big experience, bunches of minis, even though they're like little ships, but there's minis everywhere and hexes and, big fights with dice and all kinds of crazy stuff. It's just always been a go-to favorite, and everybody in my game circle really likes Eclipse. Another game that I really, really like, believe it or not, is fairly new. I have jumped up recently. If you guys really end up digging Cysmic, I sure hope everybody does. But if you really like Cysmic, there is a game right now on the market that has a very similar vibe. And my whole gaming group that meets on Saturday nights, we have started playing this. And let me tell you, every Saturday night, we play a different game. Almost always. It's very, very rare. And I mean, maybe twice a year do we play a game that is the same game twice in a row, or even twice in a month. We always play something new. And of course, there's perennial favorites that come back around. But the idea is this is unheard of. 4 weeks in a row, we have played Black Rose Wars Rebirth. I didn't think this was going to be my kind of game. I backed it kind of on a whim during the Kickstarter Game Found. I mean, it's just crowdfunding, right? These days, I mean, who cares where it came from? But the game is amazing. I would love to one day teach the designers of Black Rose Rebirth, about Cysmic. I would love to show them, because there's so many similarities, not just not in gameplay, but really in vibe. And the idea behind like the way that the board is chaotic, the idea of planning out your turns is destroyed all the time, no matter how many times you try to work on it. It's just absolutely, you just don't know what's going to happen. And the other thing about Black Rose Wars, when you play it, you think, holy cow, this thing is going to take, all night to play. We played it, and you get through like 3 rounds. I mean, it's just like Cysmic in a lot of ways, because you look at Cysmic and you think, oh, this is going to be like 4 or 5 hours. It's going to take forever. You're going to be turn after turn after turn. Cysmic is like 10 turns, and it's the same kind of thing in Black Rose Wars. It really is there's so much that happens on a single turn that you forget that you only had like 5 turns the whole game. I mean, 5, it's not even 5. It's more like, I guess a round is 3 actions, because you have 2 actions per turn. So it's like 3, you might get somewhere between, I guess, 10 and 15 actual turns, which is very similar to Cysmic's vibe as well. And the card play is very cool. There's tons of interrupts and crazy abilities and factions and stuff like that. Super awesome game. Not my typical theme. It's basically Harry Potter Battle Royale. It's really bizarre. But anyway, I really, really like it. The other, so that one, I would say, even as new as it is, I would say that may have entered my top 10 recently. So Eclipse, Black Rose Wars Rebirth. I really have a wonderful like vibe from all of Mac Gert's designs. I love Concordia. I absolutely love Concordia. And even though it's not my kind of game normally, like it's not a beat 'em up game, it's more like it is very much a Euro, and it is very much a spreadsheet game, which I joke about all the time, that everybody's like playing the same same game on a Euro. You're like, spreadsheet, I got more points than you. But it really, there's enough player interaction, but I still really, really like it. As a Euro. And then let's see what else. Another game that I really like as a Euro is Hansa Teutonica. Love the game. And that one also is relatively recent. I think that one's from 2019, 2020, somewhere in that. So what else? I mean, my gosh, I have so many. I really like Clans of Caledonia, Crusaders, They Will Be Done. Cthulhu Wars is a huge one. Cthulhu Wars is like, I mean, I have everything for Cthulhu Wars, like $1,200 worth of Cthulhu Wars crap. And I'm just like, what was I thinking? But oh my gosh, it's such an amazing game. I love everything about it. And then what else? I will say Wonderland's War is oddly a pretty darn good game. The only problem I find about Wonderland's War is it's slightly, I know, sorry, I have to chime in. Clans of Caledonia expansion, yes, I'm all over that. I mean, I gotta be. Anyway, don't worry, Sea Otter, the Cthulhu theme, I've never been a Cthulhu theme person, but the game though is solid. But I was gonna say, what in the world was I about to say? Gosh dang it. There was a shoot. What was I about to say? Well, you know what? We'll just keep going. Anyway, Wonderland's War. Sorry, Wonderland's War. I'm glad you said that. The only thing that I find weird about that game is the time. Oh, it's so cool, but man, it just takes forever. We play it at generally like 4 or 5 players, and oh my gosh, there's so much. There's so much. You got to set it up, and you're just like, oh my god, it's just you go and you go and you go and you go. And the only problem is I really like the mechanics, but the problem is it does feel like you're just doing the same thing 3 times. And I wish that there was just maybe some buildup or something. And I think it's a great design. It's not but I just feel like every time I set it up, I really like it for like 2/3 of the time. And then the last little bit, I just feel like, it's just slightly overstayed its welcome. But let's talk about a couple of others. Endeavor, by the way, right over here. Endeavor has been a game that has been in my collection for a long time. I have not mentioned Nemesis. I have all of the Nemesis stuff. Everything from all of the Awakened Realms campaigns for Nemesis. That was one of the games that kind of inspired, Cysmic in a lot of ways for the theme. As far as themes go, I'd never played anything like the theme from Nemesis. It was so cool. You just really felt like the actions you were taking were actually like you playing out like the Aliens movie or something. It was very cool. The mechanics really felt like you were like doing the stuff on there. If you had to pick one Nemesis, what would you suggest? Well, of course, I don't have the third one yet. Nobody does. I have not played it anywhere, but I know they're fairly soon shipping. I don't know. Who knows? I really, really still like the first one, almost kind of because of nostalgia reasons. A lot of people like the second one with the mechanic for being able to turn the lights on and off. I'd say the second one to me is just slightly more frustrating than I would like. The first one, I just think nailed it, and they've added more stuff and they removed some stuff in the second one. But I just feel like, oh man, I think the first one is just slightly edging out the second. And of course, who knows about the third one? The third one is supposed to be a bit more like James Cameron Aliens and less like, Ridley Scott Alien. So who knows? We'll have to see what the third one's like. The third one, it's got the much smaller minis. It's meant to be more like a horde mode, which is again more like James Cameron style Aliens. Did I ever consider any hidden roles? I like a good trader mechanic as much as anybody. We do a lot of, party games, hidden role games, things like that. And I don't know if Cysmic is the kind of game for hidden role. So, by the way, sorry if I'm being really loud. Just let me know, and I'll I'll turn my mic down, because I'm just trying to get all this a little better here. Anyway, the hidden roles. Hidden roles. I just don't think Seismic already just has so much chaos and so many things going on. I can't possibly imagine. However, having said that, there is an expansion that I feel is man, it's just not quite ready. And I really, really, really want it. I threw the idea out a few times to some of the gang in my game group. I I know you hate it, Dave. There was there was an expansion that I really, really, really wanted to do called Last Resort in Cysmic. And it was to answer your question, who was it that just asked me that? Matt. To answer your question, Matt, this is actually kind of a double answer. There was an expansion. I still have it. I still really like it. But the idea is there's not hidden roles. There is a card that you would draw about halfway through the game, and there's a set of prerequisites that you need to meet. And the idea is that let's say, for example, you are maybe just not going to make it. And you see the writing on the wall. You think maybe somebody else is gonna launch, and you draw a card called Last Resort. And what this means is you're changing your focus. You're going to go a whole different direction and say, you know what? I'm not even focusing on mine anymore. I'm going to pick this card, and then this card is a Last Resort card, and it's going to say hijack. And this has a number of things on the card. It's like a tarot-sized card, a big card. So the idea is that you could meet the prerequisites. And for example, the hijack card I have 2 soldiers and a power mech adjacent to the ship of the person that is launching when they win the game. If you meet that, and they have to be unlocked, they can't be in combat. So the idea is that if you meet that prereq, and the person at the table who has that ship, and it has to be that ship, not just anybody else's ship that's launching. It has to be that ship. So you need 2 soldiers and power mech adjacent to their ship right when they say, I'm launching. The game does not end. If you've met the prereq on that card, now you pick the card up and go, not so fast. And this is supposed to be the M. Night Shyamalan twist ending idea that, again, kind of feeds into my love of movies and action movies and crazy thriller movies. So the idea is that everybody's worked really hard, and they've met this goal of like, okay, we've got this one person, they're launching the game, everybody's heading out. And then you flip this card over at the end when somebody says, all right, I win. And then you go, no, wait, hijack. And then you read the flavor text. And the flavor text is something along the lines of, you just thought you were leaving. I brought my best legion of troops right up against the boarding ramp as you were finishing evacuating everybody. I'm now on board. Do you fight or do you surrender? And so there's a flow chart. And so the other person decides whether they're going to fight or whether they're going to surrender. And this is not going to be like a standard like combat or anything like that. Based on their answer, they end up and there's 2 cards that both say hijack with 2 different outcomes for each scenario, the fight and the surrender, but they don't know which one you've drawn. And so there's a little bit of a mind game. It's this sort of like I'll do another movie reference. It's the Princess Bride wine scene where, you think I'm going to do this, but, it's really, you think that I think that, and now I'm going to do the opposite, but you knew I would think that. So now you're going to do the opposite of that. And so the idea is that you would have to guess what the other person has drawn, and the outcome of all these different cards, inconceivable, the outcome of these cards would determine who the winner is. And so the winner, there'd be flavor text, and it would be like this massive showdown. But the point is that it would still be a risk for the other person to try to achieve that goal. Because again, being locked or, somebody launching and just saying, I'm leaving and I'm just going to leave a single soldier there to lock those units because they know maybe you're trying to do the last resort. There's a number of things. I really, really love the expansion. And if I ever go to do a reprint, I really want to develop that to the point of, and again, this would be fully optional. It'd be an expansion module that you'd add. But anyway, to answer your question in a really, really long way around, that would be the closest I ever got to hidden roles for Cysmic. But of course, now I can answer, yes, there are objectives in Cysmic because that is how the solo mode was developed. and that is also how the Euro mode kind of came to be. I decided that the Euro mode was going to be a bit less, crazy. Reprint confirmed. Let's just get through this one first. The idea would be, it's still a wild, crazy expansion, and we'd have to see how it could go. But going back to the Euro mode and the solo mode, those are objectives, and I wanted those modes to be a little less direct interaction. Clearly, and I talked about that in one of the updates. Clearly, one of the things in the update, and I think it kind of struck a chord with a lot of people, is that I am a very aggressive player at the table. I mean, I'm a nice guy in real life, but I love like an aggressive table, shit talking at the table with people, having a good time, and really getting after, the aggression of oh, I'm going to pound you in the dirt kind of thing. And yes, Dave, I'm always the target as well at the table. So anytime we play any kind of battling game of any sort, Dave knows, everybody else in my game group knows, I am the target. Not because I'm the best player at the table. In fact, usually far from it. It's just that I take it so well. Yes, I'm always the spy as well. I always take it well. I roll with it. I don't get my feelings hurt. It's not that kind of thing. However, I do know that there are plenty of people, particularly in the board gaming hobby, I think that, we all have stressful days. We all have stressful jobs. We all have, things that are, we're going through life challenges, obstacles, daily things that happen. And, the whole point of board games is you want to come home and you want to play a game and you want to relax and, you want to play something that just kind of works your mind, but not your emotions. And so that's kind of where Euro mode kind of came from. And, obviously the solo mode I needed to develop to kind of make solo manageable. Nobody wants to literally play a solo game with 1,000 components moving around on the board by yourself. I mean, it seems kind of silly. So I tried to find a way to manage that. And that's where Euro mode came out of. And Euro mode, again, is way less, way less player interaction and much, much more, just puzzle, trying to figure out a puzzle. And again, there's very mild player interaction. The Euro mode does still allow for combat. It's just the combat doesn't get you anywhere. And again, there's an optional mode in Euro that you can actually say at the table, there's no combat at all. And again, that's for various groups that may or may not want any combat. Let me look back here. Yeah, I know. Reprint confirmed. I know I already talked about it, but thank you so much. I do love that. Aruna. Somebody said Argentina. Holy cow. Oh my gosh. Yeah. God, I will never. I know this, I know you guys get tired of hearing this, but I don't get tired of talking about how there are going to be people all over the world playing Cysmic. I just can't. I mean, I just can't tell you guys how insane that is to me. I really can't. It's just the craziest thing. So yes, hello to Argentina from Texas. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking a chance on it. We're gonna get that shipping worked out for you. Don't worry. So Matt, going back to what I was talking about, sounds like the dominance cards in Root. Yes, there. It is kind of like that. The alternate ways to win. Really, it was meant to be, and it is kind of like that. But when in Root, I still feel like Root is a great game. I love Root, but Dave hates Root, by the way. I love Root, but the thing is with those dominance cards, they're not exciting. It's neat, and you can kind of pull out this like, ooh, hey, I win, and everybody at the table goes, and that's kind of it. The idea behind the last resort cards were about making that crazy twist ending, the movies where you think we've gotten to the end, and then all of a sudden everybody just, there's this, the scene cuts and there's like this huge reveal, and you're just like, oh my God, it's like crazy. And that's kind of what I wanted the last resort to be. And it's a bit, the last resort cards are obviously a bit controversial because who wants to play a game like Cysmic for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and then you do all this work and you earn the win and you're like launching off the planet. And then all of a sudden, somebody goes, they play this card, and then you have this whole like mind game, and then boom, you read the flavor text, and it is neat. I mean, it is fun. I would like it, but then again, I'm that kind of person. I think it would be neat. I have a friend that would love that expansion. Yes, Aruna. I would be really frustrated by my friend stopping my launch. That's another thing. And like I said earlier, the Euro mode is meant to try to make things easier for people who don't like, to have those aggressive emotions at the table. Again, you're playing with friends. You don't want to get mad. You don't want to be frustrated. You don't want to feel like you were robbed. You just have to you have to decide what game modes, and what style of games fit for you. But yes, it would be very frustrating. And that's kind of why I chose not to finish developing that out for this campaign. It's something that I really want to do one day. We'll see. I just can't even. I think everybody on Earth who wants Cysmic is probably going to get it this campaign. So I don't know if we'll ever do a reprint. I just wanted to make a game. I had no idea that we would ever make it this far. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry with these names. Rares Blage. Hello, is everything crowdfunding exclusive? Yes, everything is crowdfunding exclusive for Cysmic. You will never see any of this in any stores or anywhere else for that matter. I will probably have very, very few that will be the overprint. Oh my gosh, let's take a look. I have not even looked at the page in so long. Where are we at? This hasn't even updated. 246, 997. So the idea is, it's just so crazy. Everything that you see will be exclusive to the campaign. I am probably going to be doing an overprint of. We've got 1,046 backers. Generally, I will probably do about 100 copies, maybe 150 copies overprint from that. And that some of that will cover lost parcels, damaged games, things like that. But then some of it, I'll just have a few copies left that I might try to take to a convention, things like that. And again, when I say a few copies left to take to a convention, these are going to be, we're talking to like 20 copies I'll have left over maybe. So this is not like I'm going to have some inventory to go to Amazon and sell. So yes, to answer your question, everything you see on the page is 100% part of this campaign. You will never see it anywhere else. You'll never get anywhere else. Today is it. I will have things in the Pledge Manager, but as I have said in just about every part of correspondence that I can possibly imagine, everything is best to buy today, and it will be more expensive in the Pledge Manager. And really part of that, again, as I've mentioned in updates and things, part of that is because I want to reward everybody who took the chance on the campaign. Anybody who believed in the campaign over the last 28 days, 30 days, I guess, anybody who believed in the campaign, you guys should be rewarded, and anybody who comes later, I welcome them. I want them. God, I cannot wait for all the people that could be joining the campaign later. But what I really want is, I want to make sure that if you truly want the game, that you get it now. If there's obviously personal reasons or financial reasons that you can't back now, I totally get it. I understand. Makes perfect sense. The world is crazy right now. The world economy is nuts. I'm an idiot for coming out with a game like this that is this expensive in this economy. Clearly, I guess somebody has money to spend on a crazy board game like mine. But I'm just I'm very thankful that so many people rallied around it. It's just crazy. So anyway, yes, sorry. Again, to roundabout answer, everything that you see is crowdfunding exclusive, either here or in the Pledge Manager, but the prices will absolutely be increasing in the Pledge Manager. So keep that in mind. Next, can you talk about the terrain miniatures and the added value of their functioning gameplay? Hold, please.